All right, so for this short ed puzzle, we're just going to focus in on themes in art. And this does relate to step number one, which is description in art analysis. So when we start analyzing an artwork, we first just want to describe what's there. What do we see? We're not analyzing it yet. We're not trying to interpret the work. We're not judging it. We're just describing what we can see. So you will always have access to this description checklist. This is a resource I always give my students when we do art analysis. It is meant to help you structure your paragraph a lot better, and it gives you some options, some things to think about as you are writing your description, because I want you to write a good, thorough description. So of course, you always want to start by noting the title, the artist's name, the date the artwork was created, and the medium. Remember, I will always give you that information, even if the title is untitled. That is the title the artist gave. I'm not going to give you the exact date the artwork was created, but there's always a year. If there's no date provided, I would just say unknown, date unknown. And the medium is what the artwork is made out of. Then you take a little bit of an inventory of what's there. What kind of objects do you see? And you can reference that list here on the screen. Other would be just things that are not on this list. Then what type of artwork, basically theme, do you think this is? And yes, there may be more than one. Artworks usually combine different themes together. And then what category does the artwork fall under? Basically, what type of art is this? Is it a photograph? Is it a sculpture? Is it mixed media? Mixed media means it uses different mediums. And then what else do you see in the artwork? So if there's anything else that you don't think you were able to include previously, what do you see in there? Again, don't worry about having to go crazy and describe all the colors, the use of shapes, the textures. That's going to come later in step number 2. And just remember, do not include your opinion. State the facts. Stay objective. Don't get subjective yet. Don't say, oh, this is a cool artwork, because no, we are not there yet. So we're just focusing on the third part, which is what type of artwork or theme do you think this is? So these are just common themes of art. This is not an exhaustive list, or we'd be here forever. But artwork kind of falls into very common themes. The first one is portrait, which would be the image of a person. The second one is abstract. Yes, abstract can be a theme. It's also a style. There are several art movements that are considered abstract. But again, that's a theme. Another one is historical, and this would be a bust bronze sculpture of General Custer. He was a general, part of the Wild West. Is this a portrait? Yes. Is it realistic? Yes. But it's also historical because it's based on a historical person. This would be an example of a figurative artwork. Yes, this might be giving you the chills right now to look at this, but this is a example of the theme of figure. Figure means it deals with the human body and people, but in that, the focus is on the entire body. This is not really a portrait because there's more than just the face. Landscape is pretty self-explanatory. We do see sculptures that are based on landscape, but it means it's an image of land, trees, sky, right? The natural setting. There's also narrative, and this could be an example of slightly abstract, though there are some recognizable things in this sculpture, but narrative means it tells some sort of story. Can that be a portrait? It could be. Could this be historical? It could be. Again, artwork typically combines a couple themes together. And then another common theme is the use of nature. We can usually tell when the work is based on nature as the theme because the artwork is placed outside and it uses natural materials. Cityscapes. Now this is a photograph, but you could have a sculpture that's of a city, or it could be a drawing of a city. So this would be different than nature or a landscape because yes, usually a landscape means there's a lot more land per se, empty land, while a cityscape means it's a lot of buildings and streets. It's very urban. And then another common theme is mythical. Yes, this is a sculpture. Yes, this is fairly realistic, but also we look at it and we're like, this is based on some mythical story creature, right? It's not a real animal. Then there is still life. We don't typically see sculptures that often of still lifes because a sculpture is made out of actual 3D forms, but we see a lot of paintings, drawings, even photographs that are a still life. Still life is an organized set of items that are obviously not alive. That's why that's why it's called a still life, because it's a drawing from life, a painting from life, a photo from life, but the objects are still. They're not alive. Could be frozen, but it's a still life and it's arranged in a certain way. This would be an example of a portrait, also historical, also realistic though, because we can recognize the face. It's a face of Abraham Lincoln. So this is a realistic sculpture of Abraham Lincoln's face. And then another common theme is objects. Objects could be just one object by itself. It could be made of several objects. Yes, this is forming the form of a head, but it's not really a portrait because we can't tell who it is. But when we look at it, we realize it is coated in pills. So the pills are the object, even though itself, obviously it's a face. Now, not every sculpture is based on object as a theme. Yes, you can look at a sculpture and go, well, technically a sculpture is 3D, it's an object, but is the theme object? So as you're creating your descriptive paragraph and you're looking at the list of themes, just look at the work and think, okay, what possible themes do I recognize in this sculpture?